Everyone's asking the same question. Why did Trump go into Venezuela? Several reasons have been thrown about.
Drug traffickers.
We view the Maduro regime as illegitimate.
They've been poisoning the American people.
He's making cocaine, they're sending it into the United States, so he does have to watch his ass.
But what does Trump actually want? And what happens next? Firstly though, a bit of background. Donald Trump wanted Venezuelan leader Maduro gone during his first term, but he couldn't get it done. And by the time he returned to office for a second term, he was selling himself as
the candidate of peace. I am peace. We will have peace. I'm not going to start a war. I'm going to stop wars. No more wars. Under Trump, we will have no more wars.
He told his allies he slept like a baby for staying out of foreign wars. Yet this week, that line quietly expired. Now it is true that Maduro, a corrupt authoritarian, presided over the collapse of what was once one of Latin America's richest economies. Over 7 million Venezuelans, more than the population of Norway, fled under his rule due to the dire economic conditions. But many have raised questions about the legality of the US operation, which brings us back to why? Trump framed the US attack on Venezuela as an update to the Monroe Doctrine, a policy first laid down in 1823 to consolidate Washington's sphere of influence over the Americas. The point is simple. The US intends to control what happens in what it believes to be its backyard.
American dominance in the Western Hemisphere will never be questioned again.
And it's not just Venezuela. Colombia, on notice. Cuba, on notice. Greenland, Trump has hinted the semi-autonomous Danish island could be next, calling for annexation due to its strategic location and mineral wealth.
We need Greenland.
Secondly, yes, Venezuela does have the largest oil reserves on Earth. But Venezuela's oil is heavy crude, expensive, and slow to extract. Rebuilding could take years and cost over $100 billion. Oil prices are also falling. Short-term US profits, unlikely. So if this isn't just about money, what is it really about? Venezuela has become an ally to US rivals. China, Russia, Iran, to name a few. The US attack on Venezuela and its push to monopolize its oil reserves means China's billions in investment and strategic influence are now at risk. But for Venezuela, what's next? Regime change has been the talk of the last few days. Trump says he will run the country.
We are going to run the country.
But here's the catch. The US military left no troops on the ground. Bombs hit airstrips, barracks, ports, but currently no one is there to enforce anything. Right now, we're not looking at classic regime change. Trump has decided to put Maduro's second in command, Delcy Rodriguez, in charge. At first glance, it took many by surprise. Rodriguez has publicly condemned the US raid, calling Maduro the only legitimate president of Venezuela. But in reality, it may not be such a shock. On social media, analysts have pointed out the problem wasn't the Venezuelan government, it was Maduro specifically. The rest of his cabinet is competent, and Rodriguez has experience. Part educated in France, helped steer economic reforms, even informal dollarization, and negotiators in Washington have been talking to her for months. So Trump's strategy? Keep her under pressure, open up the oil industry to US companies, and distance Venezuela from China and other rivals. Full regime change, too risky. Leverage and control, much safer. But it's all far from guaranteed. Will the army back Rodriguez? Will internal elites cooperate? A splintered military could spiral into chaos. And allies aren't much help. Maduro had few friends in the region. China's influence is being tested. For Venezuelans, the future is uncertain, caught between decades of misrule and US strategy focused on quick wins, oil, and leverage. Because removing the strong man was the dramatic part. The hard part, what comes after when the real test of power begins.